So it's been a while, but I recently got back from my second trip to Nashville this summer. I've put about 5 or 6 rolls of film through this camera at this point. I haven't actually developed any film I've shot through this yet, which is kind of risky, but I was confident. So fingers crossed, everything looks good. Okay, hang on. Let's take a step back for a minute here. It's been a while since my last video, and I've done a fair bit of shooting, so let me bring you up to speed. I started with a trip down to Florida and Tennessee back in June. I was heading south for my grandfather's 100th birthday, and from there I was going to fly to Nashville to meet up with one of my friends who had some vacation time to use up. Before the trip, I popped into everyone's favorite small business to save money and live better, but all I found was this imposter film. For those of you not in the know, this is not Fujifilm. As you can see on the back of the box, it's manufactured in the USA, and it's actually Ultramax, which I don't like, or basically any other Kodak film. Superia has been my go-to all-purpose color film for a while now, and at this point I'm down to my last 2 boxes. For reference, here's a box of actual Fujifilm film. Notice how it's called Fujicolor Superia 400 rather than Fujifilm 400, with the other dead giveaway being that it's labeled Made in Japan on the back. Luckily for me, it rained the entire time, so I didn't actually need any more film, and my dwindling supply could live to see another day. I got through maybe half a roll, and before I knew it, I was back home and I'd lost any shred of creative momentum that I started with. Cat.
July 2nd. Probably is. This is probably bad. This is probably still yellow.
At this point, it was about a week away from Uncle Sam's birthday. The grill was calling and the summertime activities were in full swing. But there's no summer fun quite like hiking in 95-degree heat and 90% humidity while bugs fly into your open eyes. The great thing is that when you're a film photographer, you get the added benefit of suffering again when you develop your photos and realize everything was in vain. Are there eggs in there?
No.
Oh, not yet. So it's just gonna fuck off. That's good. Is it a... Fuck. I don't know what kind of turtle that is. Oh, it's just afraid of us.
This looks like a picture of me.
You scared him. You scared him.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill my last 2 frames here. Later that weekend, I went to my friend's lake house where everyone got to experience the rare sight of me holding a point-and-shoot camera. So I'm headed over to my friend's lake house today as a sort of pre-4th of July gathering. And I'm going to bring a camera with me to document all of the grill and chill festivities. So I'm going to need to bring something unobtrusive, unobtuse, and expendable. Let's pick a camera. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which is the shittiest point and shoot of them all? I don't do a lot of point and shooting, but when I do, I've found that 800 ISO is a non-negotiable requirement for me, especially on a camera that has no way to override the flash. The catch-22 with these ultra-simple cameras is that they do everything for you. In the case of something like the Canon Snappy AF, you have to hack the DX code to trick the camera into thinking the film is a different ISO. Each ISO has a specific sequence of rectangles that act as electrical contact patches, and you can use aluminum foil to trick the camera into thinking your film is whatever ISO that you want. It's not a huge inconvenience for a one-off roll of film, but if this was your only camera, it would be extremely annoying to do this repeatedly. That's why most models that have ISO or exposure compensation control are a lot more sought after and tend to be exorbitantly priced. When I'm hanging out in this kind of setting, I would say photography is secondary, and I think it's easy to fall into the trap of being so focused on capturing images that you miss the experience that's happening around you. For that reason, I prefer to take a cheap point and shoot that's quick, expendable, so you can just be snappy AF. When you don't have anything else to clean with. When there's lots of food, drinks, drinkings involved, the last thing you want to do is have your main rig sitting around waiting to get broken. If a fucking Topo Chico or White Claw gets dumped on this thing, I won't think twice about it. After eating about an entire cow's worth of ground beef over the 4th of July weekend, I continued working through the partially shot rolls from my trip. The fun part was trying to decipher the cryptic messages that I'd left for myself to know what frame I stopped on. With these shots, I noticed some pretty obvious clearing issues on the film, which kind of made them look like they were developed in a urinal. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but it's also present on some of the later shots, mostly around the edges of the frame. Now, this could have been user error when mixing the Blix, but I've only used this kit one other time prior, and I didn't have any problems with it then, so I'm not entirely sure what happened. At this point, time had kind of gotten away from me, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to make my next video about. I tried a few different things, but I just kept hitting roadblocks on all the projects I started. To be honest, I wasn't even sure I would find a use for any of this footage that I had taken up until this point. But as luck would have it, my sister was heading down to Nashville for a medical away rotation at Vanderbilt, and due to a scheduling conflict, she needed someone to drive with her on like 2 days' notice. So being the absolute familial rock that I am, I agreed to go. Of course, I brought the repainted X700 along with my 50mm f1.4, 28 2.8, and 3 rolls of Superia 400. I figured a week would be plenty of time to get through 3 rolls comfortably without rushing, and so, with a renewed sense of purpose and vigor, I set out in the pursuit of photography. So yeah, all 3 rolls had light leaks. And it turned out to be a shitstorm trifecta of camera leak, dev tank leak, and clearing issues, as I said before. But we'll get into that later. On top of the absolute mess that I hadn't yet realized, the rain had followed me down once again, which reduced my overall working time, but fortunately for me, it cleared up later in the week and I was able to get through all of the film that I brought.
In a quarter mile, keep left at the fork to continue on I-40 East. Follow signs for I-24 East, Knoxville.
So this weekend in Nashville, there's actually the IndyCar, some kind of IndyCar race going on. And the other night, we were looking at ticket prices, and the ticket prices were like insane. It was like $200. We were thinking about just like scooping some tickets to check it out. But anyway, so I happened to get a coffee at this place where the road was closed at the end of the block, and you could walk right up and take photos. And yeah, so I just kind of lucked into that. But anyway, sometimes things, you just get lucky. I'm hoping I get at least 1 or 2 decent shots out of that. I ended up with a couple shots that I thought were okay, but you can see there's a recurring leak coming through my Patterson tank. I noticed this on a few other rolls that I had shot on completely different cameras as well. I was able to confirm that it was an issue with the Patterson tank because I sent the last roll from the trip to a lab to use as a control, and sure enough, it came back without those light streaks. For a long time, I thought my 50 and 28 lens duo was like my ride or die combo, but this trip definitely tested me on that. Even if I have multiple lenses on a trip, I typically only take 1 lens with me at a time, otherwise I end up spending more time swapping back and forth than actually looking through the viewfinder. Now you might be thinking, a zoom lens would solve that problem, and I actually have the 35-70 3.5 macro, which is an excellent lens, but it's kind of like attaching a brick to the camera, so it's not as great for wandering around as a prime lens. I also tend to find that zoom lenses overwhelm my simple mind with the burden of choice. I prefer to have one set field of view and make it work for the shot or just move on. Pretty much every time I went out shooting, I was just wishing that I had a single 35mm lens instead of the 2 that I brought with me. Now, on the topic of camera problems, you may be kind of baffled at how I would fall for one of the classic blunders of film photography. The long and short of it is, I got a little bit overconfident and then I got humbled. So perhaps this can serve as a cautionary tale to always test your gear after purchase or service. I've been shooting analog for quite some time now, and I think this may be the worst series of rolls I've ever had. So it goes to show that no matter how bad you think you are, you can always be worse. And with a final few frames, I concluded my time in Nashville, and it was back home for the fading few weeks of summer's end.
All tickets and confirmed passengers should be here. Thank you.
Alright, so this is the part of the video where the editor comes in to explain what happened with the light leak, because I did a really bad job explaining it the first time I recorded this, and it was basically unintelligible. So I developed all the film, and obviously I discovered that it had light leaks. And what I initially thought was that I had done a bad light seal job on the camera. I thought that light was leaking in somewhere around here because the latch was a little bit stiff. So I thought I fixed that, but it turns out that wasn't the problem. It actually had nothing to do with my service work and everything to do with my modification work. So when I cut these rivets out to modify this part of the grip on the back, I filled these, or I reattached it with screws, but as you can see here, the screw came loose, at least down here, not over here. At first I thought maybe that it had to do with the fact that I had scratched up this part over here, but then whatever, it's scratched and there's reflective metal. But that doesn't really stack up when you factor in that this part, which is, you know, factory standard, is reflective metal. So my only reasonable guess at this point is that light is leaking in through here and then through here. And that's why it's inconsistent whether or not the light leak is coming through the film base or the emulsion side of the film. Because as you saw in the photos, there was kind of a mixed bag of where the light leaks were. So what you're going to see in the next section of this video is an optimistic past me thinking that I was testing the fix for the light leak issue. Of course, I made the mistake of thinking that a happy ending could be possible for me, but alas, here we are. So all this stuff I hadn't done until after I recorded the next part you're going to watch. But as I'm recording this now, I realized that I actually didn't even cover all the stuff that I needed to cover. I need to go and add more tape here, here, here. And here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Yeah. So that might just be why this is leaking light. Yikes. Okay. Whoops. My bad, guys. Hopefully that fixes it, but you're not going to know in this video. And I probably won't know for a while either. But yeah, this isn't even, yeah, that's fine. It's not even gaff tape. It's just hockey tape. It'll work. Fuck. All right, probably good enough. Okay, so while we're here, let me just give you a quick update on the paint on this thing. As I said I would, it's been a lot more than a couple weeks, and it's holding up, frankly, much better than I expected, but still not great. Probably will look terrible within a year of regular use, but that's fine. As you watch this video and see the photos I've shown throughout its duration, you may be thinking that it's a bummer to have ruined what might have been some nice pictures. And I'd be lying if I told you I didn't care at all. While it's important to take pride in your work and produce it to the best of your ability, I think it's also important to maintain a certain level of detachment to the work. At the end of the day, we can always create more. If done once, it can be done again, and it'll be better next time anyway. Or at least that's the goal. Greetings, viewer. I just recorded this entire section while in live view, but without hitting record, so here we go again. And actually, it's kind of good because there was a little ankle biter barking away in the background. So anyway, I'm on frame 24 of 36 because I would never buy a 24 exposure roll. The light here is almost gone, even though it's technically golden hour still. But fuck. Why'd I hit pause? Now I'm gonna have to sync this again. God damn it. Ugh. Alright, so where was I? Oh yeah, so it's technically golden hour still, but at this location, the way the tree line is, you basically have to shoot an hour before golden hour because you just don't really have any light left. So yeah, I gotta move pretty quick, but I have probably like 45 minutes left to go, so I just have to kill 13 frames in 45 minutes. I can probably do it. But yeah, we're gonna go to a second location, probably down by the beach, and I will see you there. All right, guys. So I got 2 frames left. Ran out of light. Ran out of time. I'll probably hit like 2 long exposures somewhere, so you'll see those now, or not if they were bad. Obviously, I have no idea if I fixed the light leak, but you will know already. So hopefully, thank you for coming along for the ride. I know it's been a while since I posted. I work slowly. That's all I can really say. If you liked the video, consider subscribing. If you didn't like it, thumbs down, write some shitheel comment. I don't really care. It helps me either way. And until next time, peace.